Welcome back. If you haven't already, please click the like and subscribe, it helps out the channel. Now on to the next chapter. Mayat meets cute. My mind has been racing since my last post. I've spent months imagining this moment, and now it's here, and all the scenarios I've played out in my imagination look like ridiculous movie sequences. None of it is credible. I finally decided yesterday not to go into this meetup trying to prove who I am to someone, but rather to just be myself and not be concerned about the impression I leave on her. It's pointless to try to change her thinking about me because her perception of me is tainted by his lies. So I questioned myself, who am I? And then I remembered that, before to this whole ordeal, I was the one who killed with kindness. While my STBX was manipulating that kindness, I was the one in charge now. As a result, I did what I thought was correct. My kids made him Father's Day cards, and then I had them create her cards. I asked them to introduce themselves and to mention one activity they wanted to do with her. They colored and drew pictures, and everything was fine in the world. Kill them with compassion. I texted him yesterday night to inquire about the pickup time. He was at dinner and said he'd text me after they were through. I awoke at 6:30 a.m. with no text from him. I texted him at 6:30, 7:30, and 8 a.m., and I finally heard back from him just before 9 a.m. I'll be there in an hour. Now that that's out of the way, what should I wear? I went with an outfit that was true to me: leggings, flip-flops, and a cute off-the-shoulder shirt. That's me. Curly hair, makeup, light but with plenty of mascara. We sat and waited till 9:40 a.m. The guys became restless. At 10:30, I receive a text stating that his stomach is unsettled and that they are running a little late. To me, this seems like a nervous breakdown. They arrive shortly before 11 a.m. I gather the guys and the gifts and lead them outdoors. She's right there. That's right there. I was standing on my steps. I reached inside for a split second. I wanted to say something clever like, "You abandoned me for this?" I looked across at him, and the dread and tightness on his face warned me that if I did that, I'd become the monster he'd made up. So I remembered my kindness credo, extended my hand, smiled kindly, and introduced myself. She. I was astounded. Where is this maniac I've been hearing so much about? Why isn't she attempting to rip out my eyes? I can only guess what was going through her mind. The lads delivered their gifts to Dad before handing over the cards to her. Shock overtook her once more. Cards that aren't threatening? How? Why? Her mood had shifted from terror to humiliation at this moment. It was more enjoyable to observe that transformation than it was to potentially tear her hair out. We rushed the boys into the car, and when my STBX walked to the other side of the vehicle to help them in, I turned to face her. Her face was flushed with shock and anxiety. She was having trouble making eye contact with me. From 10 feet away, I could hear my STBX heartbeat. I turned to face her and said, "I simply wanted to apologize for the way I first addressed you. I was an emotional disaster, but I said some nasty things, which was uncharacteristic of me. I know my actions were justifiable, but looking back on that day, I regret how I treated you. Have you met our dear friend Guilt, Shock?" As she bumbled through her own half-assed apology, a wave of remorse washed over her. She couldn't say a fair, so she just said what occurred. "Own it, girl. Own it." She did, however, stop her incomprehensible word vomit by expressing a need to speak with me about what had occurred. I used the word transpired. Most of her words were less than 2 syllables. My STBX, who had begun to seem relaxed, became anxious at the prospect of her and I conversing. I've already told myself that I won't say anything nasty about him to her. Instead, I'll send her a link to this thread. Haha. I am now looking forward to her spending 48 hours with him and our children. She can see his short temper and lack of patience now. It will be quite difficult for him to maintain his Parent of the Year persona. I'm sure my kids will give me a detailed account of their visit. I'll let you know when the kids get back on Wednesday. Thank you all for your continued support on this trip. Today was a big day for me, but I'm proud of how far I've come. Part of that growth can be attributed to the encouragement I've received from you all. Thank you so much. Friends who are useless. On Sunday evening, I sat alone at home with a glass of white wine in my hand, replaying the morning in my brain. As I sipped, I imagined the interaction and tried to evaluate the situation. My impression was that she was surprised, he was floored, my children were unconcerned, and I had won. I was delighted with my performance and felt there wasn't much more I could accomplish. She was leaving Monday evening, and it would be some time before we spoke again. My phone then pinged, almost as if summoned by the gods themselves. A random number with an unusual area code. My heart rate slowed. I knew it had to be her. For a full minute, I stared at my phone without opening it. I understood that opening the text meant opening a door that I wasn't sure I wanted to open. Perhaps she would simply apologize. Or perhaps you're thanking me for something I said previously. Were the kids all right? Alternatively, she may have questions or misgivings about him and seek an ally. Whatever it stated, I knew things would never be the same after I opened that text. Hello, and I apologize for the delayed text, but I just wanted to send a quick message. Thank you for being so thoughtful today. You didn't have to be, and I had no idea what to anticipate, but with all of the necessary introductions, I was nervous. You immediately restored my ability to breathe. Your boys are fantastic. I really liked spending today with them. That is a testament to their mother and father, and I respect where you and have arrived in terms of cooperation. From my own experience with it, I am aware that can vary day to day. Lol. I'm sorry for how things started between you and me, but meeting you today gives me hope for what comes ahead. Please do not feel obligated to react, I simply wanted to thank you. I wish you a restful sleep. Isn't it simple? Direct and to the point. Thank you message. For a brief moment, I regretted my decision to be nice to her. I relieved some of her anxiety and terror, but none of my emotions altered. But then I realized I wasn't in the wrong here. I don't need somebody to assure me it's all right because I wasn't at fault. We talked some more, and towards the end of it, I felt sad for her. She has no idea what she is getting herself into by dating him. She believes he is her knight in shining armor, but she has no idea she will have to clean and maintain it for him. She was blinded by shiny armor that was really just tin foil, just like me many years ago. Lies and pretending were all he actually provided me, and I worry the same will be true for her. The flip side of that coin is that she earned it. You had an affair. She read in my letter that this wasn't the first time I felt he was unfaithful, however she believes things will be different with her. Sis, come on. You're smarter than this, girl, you've got to do better. When I picked up the boys, they raved about her and their father. They were clearly spoiled while she was there, and Papa never yelled or lost patience. Isn't it amazing? My youngest inquired as to whether this was his new sibling. I had to explain the concepts of divorce, separation, and parent dating. Even with his girlfriend in the room, my SDBX apparently avoided having a talk with our kids. Sigh. Some things remain constant. So, while she and her father won fake Marvel goodies at the arcade, it appears she has won the largest knockoff award of all. My first and second. I apologize to those of you who enjoyed the dirt and gossip about my SDBX. This is not an article on him. This is a personal post. I sat in silence in my house not long ago. The children had left, and I was in a semi-meditation/trance state, contemplating my future. I'm 38 years old, with 2 children, a career, friends, gray hair peeking from my temples, a close family, plans for a 3rd degree, a mortgage, cellulite, and a kind, but wounded, heart. What should I do next? More importantly, who would want to accompany me? Dating was simple in my 20s. My skin was tight, I could be spontaneous, everything I owned fit flawlessly, and going out for drinks at 11 p.m. was entirely feasible. I am no longer that girl. So, how can a woman like me find a man like me? I'm at a loss. Are there any bars? Nightclubs? Painting on pottery? I've seen speed dating on TV. Does it actually exist, or is it only for sitcoms? I googled how to date in your 30s hesitantly. Some of you have undoubtedly already guessed the joke, but it was right in front of me. Dating on the internet. I grimaced. I made an online dating profile since I had no genuine reason not to. I filled in all the forms, selected my preferences, uploaded a few photos in which the costume fits well and the lighting is perfect, and then I published the page. I step away from my phone, nervously, and grab a snack. Chocolate will help. I return to my phone after eating out of pure nervousness. The app has sent me a message. I'm scared. I ignore it out of fear and, oddly enough, guilt. Fear that he is a serial killer, and guilt that, While my SDVX has gone on, I am still legally married and on a dating site. I do the only reasonable thing that comes to mind: I go to bed. I lay in bed, trying to recall what a first date feels like. The awkward greeting: is it a handshake, hug, kiss on the cheek, full open-mouth sloppy kiss, the tedious small talk, this weather is wild, read any good novels lately, wow how about those Mets, and, of course, the awkward goodbye. I have no idea how to do this or even if I can. Do you bring up your ex? Or do you avoid it at all costs? Do you cut through the nonsense and get right to the good and bad in oneself in order to save time? Because, let's be honest, who has time to date casually at this age? I convince myself it's time to sleep. I eventually listen. I wake up to sunlight, the buzz of the air conditioner, and a pinging phone. I received a text from my mom as well as 14 messages from the dating site. This must be an error. I must have entered the wrong age or been too accommodating with my selections. I go through the messages and see that these men all have something in common. They are eager to discover more about me. I scan through profiles like their resumes for jobs and come up with 3 possible candidates. Everyone my age and place, all divorced, all wanting to talk to me. My nerves have turned to exhilaration, although they are tinged with anxiety. This is it. I'm officially into the deep dark dating pool. After a few days of conversing with all 3, I decided on a suitor. I'll be going on my first and second dates soon. Please wish me luck and stay tuned for an update.